we've already mentioned that there is a rider and elephant issue when we're experiencing self-regulation. Next, let's take a look at some of the brain regions that are involved in self-regulation. Research has shown that lower self-regulation has been marked by a stronger emotional decision or an emotional response rather than a rational one. This suggests that our prefrontal cortex, the frontal lobe of our brain, makes rational and logical decisions and plays a strong role in when we self-regulate. Whereas our emotional brain, our limbic system, is involved in those emotional decisions that we make, those spontaneous, knee-jerk type of responses that we have. Again, referring to self-regulation as a brain duality issue. Our rider and our elephant are at odds with one another. That limbic system is part of our emotional brain or our reptilian brain. And one of the regions that's very strongly involved in our desires to do something is our basal ganglia. Our basal ganglia is the part of our brain that releases dopamine. And dopamine is a pleasure-giving neurotransmitter. Dopamine plays a role in our brain anytime that we are doing anything that we're guided to get a reward from. So whether the reward is pursue food, or pursue sex, or pursue getting a bit of compliment or praise from someone, anything that would be perceived as a reward to the brain releases dopamine in anticipation of getting it. Our brain releases dopamine so as to motivate us to go and do that thing. And research shows that every type of reward that has been studied increases the level of dopamine transmission inside of the brain. And the crazy thing is that dopamine gets released. It's a feel-good chemical that gets released inside of our brain in anticipation of the reward to motivate us to do it. So it's not actually the reward that releases dopamine. It's the anticipation of it. So when I see a plate of cookies, my body starts releasing feel-good chemicals. I don't even need to eat the cookie technically, but it's a very different type of feel-good chemical. It's a feel-good chemical that goes, ooh, I can get that. Actually experiencing it, once I'm actually eating the cookie, I need a different type of reward system to actually enjoy the cookie. Once I'm actually eating the cookie, I need my opioid system in our body to release the feel-good chemicals that actually give me the opportunity to experience pleasure. But I am releasing dopamine at the anticipation of seeing it. And this is really important because I don't know about you, but I've had definitely strong dopaminergic responses to things, thinking about having it, and getting it was not nearly as good as thinking about having it. Or thinking about a date with a person, not nearly as good, or going on the date, not nearly as good as thinking about it. And I once heard an artist who sang a song that basically should be the song of dopamine. This guy named Nick out in Long Island, New York, had a small band, and I don't remember even the name of the band, but the lyrics still to this day play in my head. He would say, "I'm only happy when I think of something I don't have yet, because once I get it, it never fills the void I intended." And this is dopamine at its best. Dopamine is a chemical that we release to drive our behavior, to make us want to do something. And knowing this, we can act accordingly. We can say, hey, I already imagined myself eating the cookie. I don't even need to eat it because my body already got the feel-good chemicals. And we know that dopamine released particularly in areas such as the nucleus accumbens and prefrontal cortex by rewarding experiences such as food, sex, drugs, and even neutral stimuli that become associated with it are actually the core to what gets us repeating behaviors, and also what gets us addicted to behaviors and to substances. So up next, we're going to take this understanding of the brain chemistry involved in self-regulation, knowing that when we get that, ooh, I want this response, we're firing our emotional brain. And when we go but I'm not going to have that cookie because I'm on a diet, we're using our rational thinking part of our brain. And we're going to explore the role of addiction. What happens when people's rational brain is weaker than their strong emotional response to something that they're addicted to.